You are a guy that, for a lot of people, you sort of embody the idea of hardening your mind and figuring out a way to do things that most people think are impossible. You've sort of become that guy. How'd you become that guy?
You know what? I grew up not that guy. They see me now as the guy that with his shirt off, who can do 4,030 pull-ups in 17 hours, who can run 205 miles in 39 hours, who can do all this crazy shit. But what they don't understand is they don't understand the journey that it took me to get to this point.
Retired Navy SEAL David Goggins.
Dave Goggins, retired Navy SEAL himself.
David Goggins, a Navy SEAL.
One of the toughest men on the planet.
The hardest motherfucker on planet Earth.
He's just an absolute savage.
The only man in history to complete elite training as a Navy SEAL.
U.S. Army Ranger School and the Air Force Tactical Air Controller Training.
An ultra marathon runner, a triathlete.
Running 101 miles in 19 hours.
He's got world records in pull-ups.
For 4,030 pull-ups in just 17 hours.
If anybody knows about pain, it's David Goggins.
He literally reads out things his haters say in comments and records it.
Oh, so he does.
And
he reads the comments
and then listens to it while he runs.
Oh my God!
But he's a psycho.
Yeah,
I would not recommend that. And
so,
I don't know if
it's the opposite to your approach.
Yeah, but he lives a different life. Like it's a very performance-based life. It's not like an interactive life.
Recently, Joe Rogan discussed David Goggins and how his life differs from others. He continues by saying that life is highly performance-based and not at all like an engaging life. He continued by saying that he is unique in this world, much like David, since he constantly pushes himself to his physical and mental limits, going way beyond even in terms of his pain tolerance.
He hasn't done a podcast since he did mine.
Oh, wow.
Like his last podcast I did, he was, fucking last podcast I did was like 4 years ago. Fuck these podcasts. He's like, but I like you. I'll do yours. Like, he's different. Like, David exists in this world where he is out there pushing himself beyond the limitations of the average human being, like way beyond.
David Goggins is known as the toughest man alive. He's a retired Navy SEAL and the only member of the U.S. Armed Forces to complete 2 Hell Weeks in 2 months. He has also run over 60 ultramarathons, triathlons, and ultra-triathlons, and he once held the Guinness World Record for pull-ups completing 4,030 in 17 hours. David Goggins, a man who went from 297 pounds to 106 pounds in just 2 months, is living proof of the term mental toughness.
In terms of like his tolerance for pain, and he believes he's extracting lessons from that. Like he likes the suffering, because he learns about himself in that suffering, and he continues to grow through that suffering. Yeah. Like, that's what he does, like, all day long, man.
So he doesn't get stressed about the comments or anything. He just goes and like procures the best shitty ones.
Yeah.
And then uses that to be like, fuck these people.
Yeah.
That's
yeah,
crazy.
taking souls. That's what he says. Taking souls. Those motherfuckers see you out there taking a soul. It's like, why are you out here running? Because you're not, motherfucker. And he keeps running. Like, he's got a chip on his shoulder as big as the fucking Empire State Building.
If you can get through doing things that you hate to do, on the other side is greatness. I am not training for a race. I am training for life. I am training my mind, my body, and my spirit, so it's all one, so I can handle what life is going to throw at me. David Goggins.
When everybody's suffering, everybody's all poopy pants and their mentality's down and everything, I started just like, my God, this is where I shine. And I started using all that misery for tons and tons of drive and motivation to then lead people further. Because you can get a lot of power through misery. I learned how to really find strength in the misery. For the first 45 minutes, the most excruciating pain of my life. God. But then guess what happens? My feet will go numb. And when they go numb, you don't feel the shit anymore. So I went through buds like this. And I did that every single day for 6 months. I love God. But for a short period of time, I became the devil, because that was hell. I became the boss, the owner, the CEO of Navy SEAL training. That was my mindset. And I started realizing through this process that the fucking mind is what you created. And you know, I started learning the mind a lot, how to get myself jacked extremely fast.
So whatever he says about he was David, that he was Goggins, when he gets to Goggins, dude, look out. It's like it's a different person that's unstoppable.
It's real. Yeah.
It's real.
It's real.
I saw it. And he's like, it's amazing.
Well, that's how he broke the world chin-up record.
Yeah.
I mean, you have to be a complete psychopath to be able to do chin-ups for 24 hours a day.
And once people see that, my God, Goggins is fucking going, then everybody says, Roger that. Let me get my shit and go too. So I started realizing that if you can just find strength just a little bit longer, you will have a crew of people following you along the way.
And that is another thing that no one can ever teach you. You're going to have to learn that on your own. Mm-hmm. You're going to have to figure out how to pull that energy out of your mind on your own. There's no book you can read that all of a sudden I have it. I've got the technique now. I know how to do it.
Yeah.
No, it's a grind that you have to start and finish on your own.
You have to take great pleasure in the fact that no one wants to be where the fuck you're at right now. So now I believe that I'm the hardest human being that God ever made. I don't care if it's true or not. It's the most important conversation to me. It's the thing that drives me every day. It's the one thing that keeps me going every day is that you must constantly be that man that you want to be.